In this video I'm here to check out this. No, not the Vulcan. The DJI Osmo OM5. Join me. Roll credits. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy with you once again, and I'm here today at the Solway Aviation Museum up in Carlisle, Carlisle Airport, to do a quick test of my DJI Osmo OM5. I'll get it right eventually. It's like all these things. There's so many letters and numbers. The DJI Osmo OM5. I'm here to check it out, and I'm just going to do a quick run through just to see what I think of it, how it works, how we get on with it. And I've come here because I've got some fantastic things to see in the background. So I'm going to have a quick look around. I'll give you a walk around the aircraft at the museum if I can. It's out of hours, so I'm going to be going on there. There's none of the staff around to give any guidance, but I've got a reasonably good idea what I'm talking about, so hopefully you'll join us on this one. But what I'm going to be looking at is how easy it is to use this DJI, how easy it is to take the videos on it, and what the quality is like using my telephone. So join me, let's see how we get on with it. Now I've switched to selfie stick mode, so I'm expecting the audio quality will have changed somewhat because the phone's now another foot away from me, but it's given a really nice wide angle shot. And I'm also going to switch it on to the facial centering, so as I move around it should be keeping my face in the centre of the shot. So let's have a little wander around. I'm going to keep on switching between the front and back views so that we can see some of the aircraft as I walk around. So I'm just going to do that. The only problem with doing that I've found is you have to take it out of record mode to switch it around so you can see what you're doing on it, which is a bit of a pain on this. It's probably down to the phone rather than the DJI, to tell you the truth. However, let's start with this one. This is the Vulcan XJ823. It's the very last surviving of the maritime reconnaissance versions of the Vulcan B-2 bomber. And these came in around about 1959, and they were part of the strategic bombing fleet that the British had for nuclear weapons in the early 60s until it was given over to submarines. So this, along with its counterparts, the Victor and the Valiant, made up our nuclear deterrent in the early 60s. The Valiant had some quite severe problems with structural fatigue, so it was taken out of service, and we were left with the Vulcan and the Victor. And as I say, this Vulcan actually flew into here when it was delivered in about 1982 or 83, if I remember right, and it's been here ever since. Really lovingly looked after by the people at Solway Aviation Museum, and you'll have seen it on a few of the intros of my videos anyway. You've just seen it on the intro. So let's switch back. I'm now going to have a little wander across, and as I say, the whole thing of this is just as a test, just to see how it goes on this. I've got the selfie stick out. The selfie stick on this is about 12 inches long, about 30 centimeters long, so it's not a super long selfie stick, but it's a nice comfortable position and gives a nice wide view on this. This is the iPhone 8 that I'm using, the standard iPhone 8, and it seems to be fairly stable, doing what it needs to do. I'm not particularly walking gently at the moment. I'm registered disabled, so I walk with a bit of a limp anyway, so I've got some walking difficulties. So it's going to put it to the test whatever happens. I'm not going to be gentle on this. The airport that we're here, it's been here quite a number of years, and it's a really cracking little airport. It used to be RAF Crosby on Eden, it used to be during the Second World War. It's now owned by the Stobbart Group, and unfortunately during COVID all the scheduled flights, we used to have Logan Air flights out to Ireland and down to Southend from here. They've disappeared, so unfortunately we've lost those flights. And just walking past the Skoda, which I bought last year, if you remember, it's been featured in one of the videos before, and I'm just trying the joystick on this to see how easy it is to keep things tracked on. It's not bad, it's fairly easy to do. You can change the sensitivity and speed of the joystick fairly easily. There's some really interesting aircraft. You can get into the Vulcan bomber, you can get into the cockpit very, very easily. And it's worth going into just to see how small and tight it really is. So in front we're looking at the back of a Hawker Hunter. Now that Hawker Hunter is ex-Swedish Air Force, and when I came here it was quite brightly coloured. It's been here probably about 10 years now, and again very well looked after. A lot of these aircraft have just been restored paintwork wise and they're looking magnificent in the sunshine at the moment. Now, to complement the Vulcan, they've actually restored a crew bus, a period Bedford crew bus, which is absolutely beautiful. They've just had this out up to Dumfries on an exhibition up there, along with the tractor, the aircraft tractor unit there. Again, really nice little display piece on there. XX146, which is a Sepcat Jaguar. Now, this has just came in the last couple of days. It's literally just been reassembled here. It's a T4 variant of the Jaguar, a trainer version, and again, it was one of the RA's fast jet fleet until very, very recently, about 10 years ago. Making our way down. It's a very, very quick trip, this. Now, I'm finding it's fairly easy to use this joystick, which is rather good. I'm just going to switch over. Although it does get reversed when you're switching between the front and back camera, so you have to get your wits about you on that a little bit. Again, I've got the facial tracking on this. Oh, we'll just switch around quickly to the English Electric Canberra B4, Britain's first jet bomber. Came out in about 1949, I believe, and not the B4 variant, but the original bomber. And very, very successful. It's flown in the US if you're an American citizen, flown as a Martin B-57, and there's still some versions of the B-57 in service with NASA as far as I'm aware. Very, very successful aircraft, and really had a very long and established lifespan in various air forces around the world. I think the last one went out from the RAF in about 2009. Now, one of the things I am finding quite difficult on this is I turn towards something, but I keep on forgetting that as I turn, the gimbal's going to stay in the same direction. So it's you get used to it, I presume. The whole thing's very light in the hand. I mean, I'm not really struggling at all to hold it, so I'm very impressed with it up to now. The facial tracking, I'm so impressed with. It's just untrue. It's very, very good. You can change again the speed on the facial tracking very easily. So if you wanted to be more or less sensitive, that's just a switch in the menu on the screen. But switching around, we're now looking at the F4 Phantom. Now, the F4 Phantom is, this is a British version, XV406. Now, these were brought into originally Royal Naval Service, and it's a variant of the F4, which was the mainstay of US Air Force and, well, other US forces. In fact, an awful lot of air forces around the world. But the Royal Navy brought them in. They were adapted to be used in Rolls-Royce spare engines rather than General Dynamic ones. Although the Air Force, when the lack of TSR-2 and other aircraft came along, when that was cancelled, the Air Force went into getting some of the F4s from the Navy, and also bought some extra ones which did still have the General Dynamics engine. So we had both types, F4J and F4M were the designations over here. This is certainly one of the ones that had the spare engines, and I believe it's an X111 squadron, 111 squadron aircraft. Straight behind that we've got Britain's only operational Mach 2 fighter, which is the English Electric Lightning. Fabulous aeroplane, unbelievable performance out of it. Leaked like a sieve, of course, so it had very little duration in the air before it actually ran out of juice. But what an amazing aeroplane, an incredible turn of speed, which hasn't really been beaten. Beside it is this is really looking different to when I was here 2 years ago. This is a Fairy Gannet. It's got two turboprop engines with counter-rotating props. And this came in looking something of a wreck when it came in 2 years ago. It was in a real state, but it's been beautifully restored and repainted again. And it's looking fantastic. New canopy on it because the canopy was smashed when it first came in. And it was really something of a mess. So it's really lovely to see it in this condition. The Phantom, which we've just been looking at, by the way, which if I pull around again, you'll see the back of it. This Phantom was at 14 maintenance unit, which is RAF Carlisle for quite a number of years on the gate as a guardian there, before it was brought out here in its grey livery, but it's now been put into a grey-green camouflage, and that happened about 2 years ago as well. And I've posted some of the photographs on this on the Fit British Phantom Aviation group page on Facebook. Swinging around to my left though, we have the Meteor, and this is an NF14 variant of the Meteor. And again, this was previous to the Phantom. This was a gate guard at RAF Carlisle 14MU. So both of which have been in the Carlisle area for quite a few generations now. Again, this has just had a complete remake over, and it's looking fabulous. Now, I'm not going to show you the whole fleet because there's actually more. As you can see, I'm going to flick around in a moment just let you see the sea prints, which is a Royal Naval trainer, twin prop trainer. I'm just going to swing around and let you see it behind me. You may be able to see it. Let's see if I can get it into view. There it is behind. We'll try and zoom in a little bit onto this one, which of course I can't do because it's on selfie mode, so I'll flick around. But there you can see the fabulous sea prints, and I've zoomed in a little bit on it. I am really impressed actually. That's at full zoom, and it's on the end of the selfie stick part of it, and it's as steady as a rock, which I'm really impressed with. There's also a couple of cockpits behind, or cockpit sections. There's part of to the left of it. If I just take it slightly to the left, you will see part of the fuselage section of the Blue Streak rocket, which was developed just up the road at RAF Spade Adam, or Spade Adam as it was before the RAF took it over in the 50s. It was part of our nuclear intercontinental ballistic missile fleet, but it was then put over as part of the first stage of the ELDO, European Launch Development Organization rocket, which eventually became the Ariane project. Beside that, you've got a centre section of a jet stream, and there's also a cockpit for a Trident as well in the background. So an awful lot to see here. Moving on from the Meteor, we can go behind it and see the wonderful little T4 Jet Provost in the background there. The T5 had a pressurised cab, but dropped the tip tanks on that one. The T3 didn't have the pressurised cabin on this, and this was part of the induction fleet, if you like, for pilots. This would be the first jet aircraft that they flew, and this was replaced by the Tucano several years ago, which has now just gone out of service itself as well. So let's take a wander over beside it. Still getting the hang of the joystick. So as I say, it is slightly reversed from what you'd expect it to be. And a final look on this side of the Gannet. Again, a very, very strange looking aeroplane, but very, very effective. They had various versions of this in the Royal Navy. One, an airborne early warning, had a huge, great big radar blister underneath the fuselage. So again, if you have a look up the Gannet, it's an interesting aircraft. Very effective in its day, ugly as sin, but has something of a charm to it. Thoughts? Well, I've got two lots of thoughts, one on the museum itself and one on the selfie stick. So let's do the museum itself. I'm a real fan of this museum. I think the staff do a fantastic job. All volunteer staff here do a fantastic job, and if you get the chance, get in touch with them. They're open throughout the summer. There's a small fee to get in, but to be honest, it's well worth it. It's a wonderful place to come along, bring the kids, sitting inside that Vulcan cockpit, whether you're a grown-up or a big kid yourself, or whatever it is. Absolutely fantastic fun, and a real insight as to what life used to be like in the days of the Cold War. Got a light aircraft taken, just started up there. The selfie stick itself, the gimbal, I'm really impressed with. It seems to be nice and solid. There is some shake, but as I say, I walk rather in a crippled manner in the best of times. But it's easy to use. It's very, very light, very easy on the hands. You can use it with the selfie stick out, which I've been doing at the moment, but if I push it back in again, that's it back as it was. So the whole thing is literally just the handle now. You do have to hold it up a little bit if you want to have a straight on view. But overall, I think the whole thing's fantastic. I do find some of the controls difficult to reach round if you want them to, because they're quite far apart for your grip. But they're anything but unmanageable. Just try to get the light right. But yes, overall really happy with this. Think it's been a good investment, and hopefully it'll bring a slight change in how we do some videos from now on. I'll be interested to see what the sound's like, because I'm literally taking the sound from the telephone's microphone, so it may be a bit of a waste of time video, this one. I'll still put it up even if it's poor, because at least it gives you an idea what you're going to get from an iPhone 8 on the recording. But until the next time, this is Brian James, that Micro Four Thirds guy, saying keep on taking your camera out, keep on taking your photographs, and keep on having fun doing so. See you next time. Bye bye.